Hi, I'm Chris from evaluagent. So in this video, we'll take a look at how contact centres can quickly find their high-risk conversations and more importantly, what to do with them. So let's take a look. Right now, we are on the SmartView dashboards of evaluagentCX. Now, these are custom dashboards that we can set up to track anything that we want, anything that is important to us in our contact centre in relation to quality and conversation intelligence. So we've got this view here. This is a trends view that I've set up. And what this is tracking is the number of evaluations that's been done over the last 7 days. And we can see our quality score in comparison to that. So right now, that's not too bad. Our average quality score over the week is 89.7%. It's decent. Our evaluation autofails now in our automated scorecard that we've set up in this case. It contains a line item that will measure identifying the customer appropriately. So in cases where that doesn't happen, perhaps the agent misses a date of birth, an address, whatever that may be, that would automatically fail the evaluation, and that value would then be tracked in there. So we can see over the last 7 days, we've had no failures when it comes to ID&V across all of our conversations. So again, good news, we're in a good place. Additionally, we can track the predicted Net Promoter Score result. So essentially, after every conversation, evaluagent will provide a prediction as to how that customer would have ranked in terms of NPS. So we can see at the beginning of the week, we kind of dipped a little bit. We've come back up, dipped, but then in the last couple of days, we are looking pretty decent. So I wonder what's happened here that's caused us to jump over the last couple of days. On the other side, we've got the customer sentiment score. Now, in evaluagent, we can track the customer sentiment, the agent sentiment, and the overall sentiment of a conversation. Now, in this case here, we just have a dashboard widget added for customer sentiment. So we can see that that's fairly consistent between 60 and 80%. So again, not too bad. Taking a look at the other dashboard here, this is another one that I've set up. And this is focusing purely on the risk elements of the contact center. Just refresh that page there. There we go. There we go. So this dashboard is geared up to track any of the high risk elements of the conversations. We've created a two-tier evaluation approach for this example. Now this is built on a fictional car insurance company. So all of the conversations that's coming into this demo platform relate to a fictional contact center. But the way that we've set up quality in this case is that every conversation is evaluated with an automated scorecard. Based on the results of that, those are filtered into high-risk evaluations. Essentially, it's where the evaluation of the automated scorecard has failed and we've classed them as a detractor. Now, for any of those evaluations or any of those conversations that have failed that evaluation and are classed as high risk, those are automatically assigned to our evaluation team to analyse and provide additional expert feedback. This dashboard here lets us track those elements. So over the last 7 days, we've had no high risk evaluations that's been completed. We don't have a quality score in that case, and of course we don't have an average evaluation time. When we process or when we evaluate a high risk evaluation, we'll start to see those dials populate in there. But in addition to that, I am tracking the X vulnerability. That's another predicted metric. So based on the content of the conversation, if there's any indication of vulnerability, that's flagged in the conversations. So I can see that my vulnerability rate is hovering between 40 and 60. It's quite a lot. Additionally, we are tracking X resolutions. This is another predicted metric where was the customer's inquiry resolved on the contact, and we can see that we've got a decent level there. That's almost at 100%, so good news. The other dashboard that we've got set up here, this simply tracks volume. Now, again, just to reiterate, you can create any type of dashboard that you like that's focused on metrics that's important to you. These are just one series of examples. But what we're seeing here is how many call evaluations are being done. We're call evaluation, or call quality score, or evaluation trend, and we can split that up into the different channels. So we can see how many calls have been done, how many chats, and in this case, we've also got chatbots in there as well. So we can get a good view as to what's coming into the contact center, and we can treat each of those things differently. We can apply different scorecards to it. We can apply different levels of automation. But of course, in the dashboards, we're simply looking at the end result. So let's grab a high-risk conversation. I'm going to come to our imported contacts and filters, and this is a repository of all of the conversations that come in to the contact center. Now let's take a look at these here. So of course we've got our contact reference, our agent details and contact, the usual stuff. Now, in addition to the metadata that will be sent across from a client's conversation or alongside the client's conversation, we apply all of the predictive metrics as well, in addition to sentiment and the automated reason for contact. So I can see at a glance, I can see what my XNPS result was. I can see that first line reason in here. These are automatically generated based on the conversation type, and we can see what the customer's intention was in there. So again, we're not even relying on agents providing a disposition code, because we know that they can sometimes be skewed a little bit, because in the interest of time, agents will simply select miscellaneous for the disposition code, which then doesn't provide us with any value. In this case, we can see the reason that the customer got in touch and their intention across all of those conversations in there. Now, if I just scroll along to the right, I can see those additional metrics. I can see the sentiment details and those other predictive metrics in there as well. Now, in terms of filtering those conversations and finding the high risk conversations, we can start a new filter where we can filter using any one of the elements that's attached onto the conversations. So that could be the metadata that comes in along with the conversation from the telephony or the ticketing platform. We can filter by insight topics that are attached onto conversations. So what type of conversation was it? We can look for sentiments, so we can filter by particular sentiments, whether it's negative, positive, etc., or if we're looking to filter by a particular score. In addition to that, we can filter by those evaluation results. So let's do that now. So from all of these conversations that have been evaluated, we are going to look for the general conversation quality scorecard. This is a scorecard that's analysing 100% of the conversations. And also you can see here we've got 3 different scorecards. So we've got a dedicated one specifically for chatbots, and then we've got that specialist high risk scorecards as well. So we can build in as many scorecards as we need. Now in this particular case, I'm looking for conversations that have the result of fail. And we can see that's filtering in all of those conversations there. So we've got 60 conversations over the last 6 days. Now, taking a look at this, we've got some promoters in there, we've got some passive. Let's filter those out, because what we really want to focus on is those high risk ones. So I'm going to build up that filter and say, in addition to the scorecard criteria, I am looking for, XNPS being a detractor. I'll just save that there, like so. Now what this will do is filter through all of those conversations, and it will look for that particular criteria. So now we can see that we've got all of our detractor conversations in here. We can see from the X metrics shown as in the conversations, we can see that these are not good conversations at all. Now what we can do with these, because these are conversations that have went through an automated process, a risk has been highlighted, we want to get them to our evaluation team. So how do we do that? This is where we save these filters. So this is a high risk filter that's been saved. Now, if I show you that one there, this is exactly the same filter. But all that I've done is saved that, gave it a name, and that's then saved in my API filter, my filter list in there. Now, what I'm going to do with this filter is I'm going to take it into an automatic work queue. And I am going to come into set up a work queue. The first thing I'll do is select all of my agents and my teams within the business that I'm looking to evaluate. The next thing I do is plug in the high risk filter. So that was that filter that we saw in imported contacts. I select my sample date range. So we'll look at conversations over the last 7 days within this filter. Then I apply an evaluation mode. So in this case, it's a high risk evaluation. And the scorecard that we're applying to this is that high risk scorecard. Now, the benefit of having those evaluation modes as well as the scorecards is it allows you to differentiate not only between the types of evaluations that you're doing, but scorecards as well. Those all feed into the reporting. For the scorecard that we're using, this is a blended scorecard. Now, what this means is that we're using a combination of automated line items and manual line items. The reason being is that because the automated scorecard has highlighted some risk, we want to add in some manual line items there that relate to confirming process, adherence, and things like that. So the next thing we're doing is we are setting up our evaluation quota here. Now, because this is a blended scorecard and it is going to manual evaluators, we set what the quota is in there. So in this instance, it's 5 evaluations per agent per week. Now, we can configure that to be every month, every 2 weeks, whatever that criteria is, that can be configured. The next thing that we do is just add in all of our evaluators in here. So we select from our list. I'll just add myself in there, and we can then split that balance between me and that demo user in there. Once I'll just remove that. There we go. And then the third step there is just publishing the what we call the automatic work queue. That will then activate, and it will start looking for those conversations that come under this criteria over the last 7 days. So what this will then do is when a conversation comes in, it will then be assigned to an evaluator and they can access that under contacts to evaluate. So in this example here, we can see we've got 13 evaluations, we've got the agent details, and we've got the assignment details. So very easily we can see that these are high risk conversations, and we've got the high risk scorecard attached to it. As the evaluator, all I need to do is hit the evaluate option. And that will then take me into the scorecard. Let me just maximize this scorecard so we can see what the format is. Now, a scorecard is made up of different sections, so we can see we've got one here, the second one in here, and then the third one at the bottom. When you're building your scorecard, you can build in the different sections and the different line items, and also category tags as well. So again, all of these things filter into reports, so it allows you to not only report on line item performance or evaluation performance, you can understand how those categories and sections performed as well. The top 2 line items here, these are manual line items. Now we know that they're manual because they don't have any score in them. The other line items that have been scored for is coming into the evaluation. These are automated line items. In this example, these are utilizing Gen AI. So along with the score, we get to see the reason for the score and any improvement actions that the agent could have taken. So as the evaluator, let me just minimize this and we'll take a look at the conversation. We've got the conversation transcript here. Now let's just view the details where we can see that this is a chat. So we can see the transcript of the conversation in the middle frame here. On the left-hand side, we can understand what the reason for the customer getting in touch was. We can see what their primary intention is. We can see a summary of that conversation. So if this was a particularly long conversation, to get a good understanding of it, I don't even need to read the entire transcript. The summary here gives me details of the opening, the requirements, the discussion points, and the outcome as well. I can also see any inside topics that have been tagged onto the conversation. We can click into each of these and understand exactly which elements resulted in that insight topic being tagged in there. And these can be customized as well. They utilize two different types of technology: text analytics, where it's looking for keywords and phrases. Those are really good for processor compliance type elements of a conversation. Gen AI inside topics look for, they look at the entirety of the conversation and more nuanced elements of the conversation. Oh, look at this. We've got a profanity inside topic in here. So in this particular example, the agent is clearly, let me just hide this, clearly sort of kind of been having a bad day and dropped in a little cuss word in there. But thankfully, we have a profanity inside topic that is detecting any of those words in there. So as there's an inside topic, we can then create a filter, and we can then connect that to things like alerts. So if there was a scenario like this where the agent has said something that's a bit inappropriate, or for any type of reason, we can link those inside topics and those filters to alerts so that you can then be alerted of any of those conversations coming in. We'll take a look at that in a bit. So additionally, we have got our sentiment insight. So we can see the overall sentiment here, which was negative. We can see the agent sentiment, which came in at neutral. And then we'll get the customer sentiment, which is 25%. That's the lowest element. We can also see details in relation to sensitive elements of the conversation, sensitive data elements that have been removed. So in this case, we have detected the person's name, street address, email address, and that can be deleted from the conversation. These are customizable as well. So depending on what you want to detect and redact, we have a huge library of entities and also the ability to create your own, and it works in exactly the same way. At the bottom, we've got all of those predictive metrics. So we can see that this is a detractor. We've got our reasons, we've got our repeats in there. So we can see this is a repeat conversation, there's vulnerability detected, and it's not resolved. So poor conversation. And this is where the automation comes in, because as a QA specialist, I don't need to go and find these conversations. The platform finds it for me and puts it in front of me, so that all that I need to do is come in and score the rest of the conversations, and I can track the root cause as well. And I can also leave some feedback in there, like so. One thing actually that we should do here is change the terminology of the feedback, because if we're giving this agent an evaluation result, and potentially this could have failed, so it could be a failed result, and to help the agent get better and improve, we give them negative feedback. So we will amend the language in the feedback terminology here. So let's leave the feedback for now, and we'll sort that. We can fill out this last element in here, and we can add in guidelines as well. So if I'm a little bit unsure as to how I should be scoring this, I can simply come in here and see the guidelines that has been provided. All of these elements are added in when you build up your scorecard. I'm just going to score this as process clarification, and then we'll hit continue in there. Now this is an optional workflow where, in a scenario where, let's say I'm a new evaluator and I need to send it to, before I publish these into reports into the agent, I need to send them to my line manager to review it beforehand. Just in the beginning, I've got the option where I can send this to any reviewing manager, and before it is published, they're required to approve it. But in this case, I'm just going to publish this without review, and it will give us the results. There we go, and the quality score is coming in at 50%, and the result is, not surprisingly, a fail. So again, in this scenario, we have the agent being notified that they've failed the evaluation, and they would then have that failed feedback as well. So we will fix that and change that terminology to make it um, more in line with good practice. Now let's take a step back to our SmartView dashboards. So I'm going to come to the risk dashboard, and we can see the evaluation that we've just done that has shown in here like so. So we've got that one evaluation. Obviously, the more that we're doing, the more that's going to populate. And we can see what that high risk quality score is as well. And that's just filtered. If we just edit that widget, that is filtered by that by that high risk evaluation mode. Now, what you can also do when you're building these dashboards is bring in your operational structure. So what we're looking at now is the entire business, but we can filter those to any department or team um, based on what we're looking to track. And that's how you can easily find a high risk conversation in your contact center and evaluate it thoroughly.